IVM.
Hello and welcome to Football Twaddle. We are recording a day late this time because it's the international break and we thought we should also take a one-day break, and this is how we are going to accumulate our breaks over the season so that we can make up for the lost World Cup holiday time. I have Kanav with me on studios. Kanav.
Hello guys.
And we also have late in the show Vijay, who, if you remember, was on our podcast before Arsene Wenger left. So we had to call him and find out what's happened with Arsenal, or what's his view of Arsenal after the first 4 matches. Okay, Kanav, let's get into this.
Big week. I think, with Liverpool and Chelsea strengthening their top of the table.
Yes, but I want to talk about a team which is 4 wins on 4 and which is not Liverpool or Chelsea.
And this is after facing one of their top of the table rivals this week. Who would have thought?
I thought. Now, after Leicester season, I always think some team is going to do this miracle thing, and it's turned out to be Watford this time. How was that game, man? How did they beat Tottenham quite easily? It's not like Tottenham were any great threat as well. Tottenham were quite bad in that game, and now Watford are 4-4 and playing United next. So the obvious question, Kanav, is when will Watford break the 40-point mark?
I think by December. the way they're going, this might be another, invincible season.
Invincible.
No, Leicester, anyone can do a Leicester. The ultimate aim is to go the entire season unbeaten.
And win something, right? What if Watford finished 13th in the season and then go unbeaten? Then what?
It'd still be considered an achievement for Watford.
Yeah, but the bigger story than Watford is because every season now we see teams doing this, because last year there was Burnley, 2 years ago there was Leicester.
Even Watford had a good start last season.
And that is something, last 3 seasons, Watford, if you look at the start they had every season, it's pretty amazing in terms of last year under Marco Silva. Till Everton tapped up Marco Silva, Watford were doing really well.
Yeah, and this is the time when, Richarlison had a great start to the season also.
Yes. He's now also had a great start to the season, but not with Watford.
Yeah.
But this is primarily a Tottenham story. Did you see how Pochettino tore into his players after the game?
I think Tottenham, they've been overachieving
for long now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But see, Pochettino basically said we somehow won 3 games without really playing well, and I've been telling my players with this we are not going to win.
Exactly.
And it showed today. But one thing is, why does he keep changing formation? What forced him to go to 3 in the back when he is not why change? Why continuously keep changing formation? What's up with managers trying to all try the Rafa Benitez?
It's not Rafa. I think it is the Guardiola effect with Pep coming in. Now you see everyone experimenting.
Yes.
Liverpool have started playing out from the back. Arsenal are, hilarious. It's hilarious watching Arsenal watch. When Cech is passing to his centre backs.
Oh, that is the definition of trying to be scary. It was so scary, and
Tottenham. We have seen Harry Kane hit a little bit of form compared to the past. His record for August, but again, there was one stat which I saw. Before his injury, he was consistently hitting 6 to 7 shots on target per match, which has gone down to now 2.5.
Yes.
And you saw it during the World Cup also, apart from...
I didn't see anything of Harry Kane during the World Cup other than an ankle goal. I don't know what goals did he score. Remember, we spoke so much about those are not really legit goals.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you, remove the Panama game...
then what did he score?
Yeah, so he did underperform during the World Cup also, and he's continuing the same run of form.
Why is Pochettino not able to have a definite plan B? What is his plan B?
No, so see, his plan B usually is bringing on Son around the 65th minute mark when they're not doing well, because he brings in a lot of energy. Now with Son out of the team, his backup striker is Llorente, who has not played for a year and a half.
Yeah.
So I think they're missing Son, but now he's going to be back.
No, after the Asian Games.
Saved himself from the 1 year mandatory military service.
Talking about a team which lost this week and played all right last week, to a team which was all over the news last week, but now are back to winning ways. United beat Burnley 2-0, a comfortable win. Lukaku, as usual, could have scored 5 goals, but ends up with 2.
And ends up with a lot of, I think, a lot of criticism that guy faces. So you compare his record. I think he scored 128 goals in 224 odd games.
Yeah.
When you compare it to Drogba.
But then I heard some interview somewhere saying that Lukaku is probably like, 1 goal in 3 games type of striker.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty awesome record.
Yeah, but the problem is that the spacing of his goals is a problem.
No, more than that, the problem is that he is now up against someone like Salah of last year or Harry Kane consistently who do 30 goals a season. So those people are more than 1 goal every 2. They're like 1 goal every 2 games, and that always puts Lukaku in bad comparison.
No, the bigger problem with Lukaku, what I feel is
his first touch.
That is a universally recognized problem. That's something you can't improve on. But Lukaku's goals, so they come against Burnley, right? Or they come against say a Cardiff. But when it comes to the actual big games, his record against the top 5 is not that great.
But last year he did score, no? Against Liverpool, he had that amazing assist and he played quite well where Rashford scored the goals. Yeah. But the talking point of that game is the cameo played by Marcus Rashford. Won a penalty saved by Joe Hart, and then a supposed headbutt gets him a red card. Was that even a headbutt?
No, but we discussed this last week also. A headbutt is a red card offence.
No,
it's written in the rules.
But was that a headbutt?
Yeah, it was. There was contact. And he came back and apologized, which is, I think, something...
Yeah, he has to apologize. But then, it didn't even seem much, man, that thing. So United now back to winning ways, and they're playing the top of the table Watford next week.
This is going to be an interesting match because, Javi Garcia has gotten Watford playing really well.
Yeah, so that is probably the match to look forward to. We can talk about that more on next week's fantasy show. Newcastle 1, City 2. City is
more or less expected.
Yeah, but what was not really expected is that it would be 1-1 for a long time before Manchester City score. You think teams are kind of figuring out how to get points against Man City this season?
No, but you consider the approach of Newcastle. They're very, very defensive against City.
Yeah, so.
That is not going to help you. So probably if you equalize on the 60th minute mark, you can hold on for 30 minutes. But when you get a goal in the 30th minute, you're 1-1 against City and you have 60 minutes left to defend.
Yeah.
There is going to be one lapse of concentration in those 60 minutes, which City is going to capitalize on.
Yeah.
So I still don't think on a bigger picture that is a right strategy to go for.
Yeah, that's also there. Alright, we take a break right now on Football Twaddle, and after that we are back with Kanav and Vijay. Stay tuned to Football Twaddle.
So this week on IVM, there's a lot to look forward to for our listeners. If you're not following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We have an interview lined up with the young actor Ishan Khattar on Cyrus Says. This conversation is about his foray into acting and living up to high expectations. On Simplified is the 100th episode, which we recorded live at Dulali, featuring guests Amit Verma and Varun Dugirala. And for all of those looking to step into the food and hospitality business, the podcast that should definitely make your priority list is the Kolaba Cocktail. This week, there's an important conversation taking place between Gauri, Pankil, Abhishek, and myself about restaurant investments, who the ideal investor of a restaurant would be, and more. Also catch Paisa Vaisa, where Anupam talks to Prashant Thakur of Anurag Property Consultants about real estate basics like buying, renting, and selling property. On the Vishal Gondal Show, Vishal speaks to Yashraj Akashi, someone responsible for curating the TEDx conference in India. On the Pragati podcast, Pawan and Hamsani are joined by strategic communications expert Soren Dayton to discuss how the ecosystem of Washington, D.C. has changed since Donald Trump became the president. On Pulya Bati, Pranay and Saurabh discuss Pakistan's tryst with the military jihadi complex. We're also looking to hire a producer, a social media intern, and a graphic designer. So write to us at jobs@indusvox.com if you want to come work with us. And with that, let's continue with your show.
Hello, welcome back to Football Twaddle. We also have Vijay with us on the podcast today, and if our regular listeners will remember that we got Vijay on the podcast quite some time back. This was even before Wenger had left Arsenal. There was talk that he would leave Arsenal at the end of the season, and we wanted to speak to someone who absolutely adores Arsene Wenger and Arsenal to find out who could be the possible replacements. And now we are, after Unai Emery is back. Vijay, hi.
Good evening. Good evening, Saru. Good evening, listeners of Football Twaddle.
Yes. So, let's start with Arsenal then.
Yes.
So, Wenger,
a world where Wenger is not at Arsenal.
Yeah, there is no Wenger. Now the club is run by a cabal of 3 or 4 people. which includes Gazidis and Unai Emery.
The ball of the cabal is going probably. Ivan Gazidis is leaving.
That actually, I'll come to that as well.
Sure.
So let's talk about Unai Emery's reign till now. So it's only been 4 games, and we are on an international break.
Yes.
But what are the things you, as an Arsenal fan and a viewer of the team, see generally in the way the team plays or the team is set up?
Right. So my initial reaction when the Unai Emery name was announced was one of shock and a little bit of a disappointment.
Yeah.
I was, up on the Mikel Arteta bandwagon. It was fresh. It was like the Guardiola of our Arsenal. Then there was this podcast. Sorry for...
That's fine.
So in Ars Blogger spoke to David Ornstein, the BBC reporter. So he said how Unai Emery was an obvious candidate and a lot about his method and especially how confident he was in his first interview. So to the actual football that's come, I'm very impressed by Unai Emery in one thing is how bold he has been from the start.
Yeah.
He has dropped a star player who happens to be my favorite player, Mesut Ozil.
Yes.
He has started nobody, Matteo Guendouzi, over the other player, especially Lucas Torreira, who was rated very highly.
Yeah.
So he's been pretty bold, and it's been, 4 games?
4 games now.
2 games he lost to last 2 champions, and that's okay. But
that is to be expected.
Yes.
You could expect that they could lose because it was a tough start.
That's true.
But last 2 games, the problems from where we see it still persist. Like the defense has to be sorted out in some big way, and it's still not done. And the first question then, after these 4 games is, why is he still playing Granit Xhaka? At what point will he realize that Xhaka is just not worth the trouble?
I mean, I have the same question because in a way, Granit Xhaka...
Dude, I called you for answers.
Yeah.
We both can't ask the same questions.
I'll give that, yeah. So, I suppose when I saw the games, he paired Guendouzi with Xhaka. Both are pretty similar players. Nobody was, destroyer in the midfield. Torreira would be the obvious pair. But I suppose he didn't want to play 2 young midfielders he just bought together. So I think that's the reason. I think slowly he would change. I'm also worried about how Ozil will fit with the high pressing style of Unai Emery. That is taking time bomb, I suppose.
Did Arsene Wenger leave a £350,000 a week mess?
400, isn't it?
Fine. £400,000 a week mess for Emery to deal with.
It is not really a mess. I just think Ozil might not necessarily fit in with Unai Emery's style of play. That's it.
Yeah.
So with some other coach, Ozil would be, say somebody like Sarri. Ozil might have been a better player. I mean, in the sense he would suit better. With Emery, I suppose a player like Aaron Ramsey, I think he'll really thrive. Another thing that everybody has missed, I personally feel over the transfer window until now, is how Arsenal absolutely lack wide players. There is no wide player. There was Reece Nelson was supposed to be the answer, some 17-year-old.
Yeah.
He's been sent on loan. We sold Sanchez, Theo Walcott, Chamberlain. There is absolutely no player. Iwobi and Mkhitaryan are playmakers. Ozil is not really a wide player. So we absolutely have no wide players.
Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah. And why is he still persisting with Petr Cech? He wants to basically play, let's say, a Guardiola or a Klopp type football, right? Petr Cech is not
more Klopp than Guardiola, I suppose.
Petr Cech is not the right goalkeeper for that. And you bought Leno. What's he doing on the bench?
Leno, I have read from Bundesliga experts, is quite error prone. Now you just mentioned how error prone our defense already is with Mustafi is error prone. So all the other new defenders and the young defenders are quite error prone. And he wanted some leadership with Petr Cech.
But why would you buy Leno then? I mean, in spite of Leno's fee, I was reading somewhere that he's the 8th or the 9th most expensive goalkeeper still in the world, right?
Yeah. And a couple of records were broken just this year.
So if that's the case, you may as well just play him. Why? Especially in a club which doesn't want to spend so much money. They spend so much money to get a keeper and not even give him a game.
It's just 4 games. I think he'll be played. That's what I think. I think by the end of the season, I suppose he will be the
number one
keeper. Yes. And he already has the number 1. No, Petr Cech has the number 1, sorry.
Okay, Petr Cech is the captain as well.
Yes,
At least till Koscielny comes back, Cech will be the captain.
Koscielny is not coming back till next year, I suppose.
Yeah, so Petr Cech is the captain for the foreseeable future. So what to make of this whole thing?
So to the question you asked, I would rephrase it in the sense Wenger didn't leave a £400,000 a week mess. The entire squad is a mess, especially the kind of players we have bought and sold in the winter transfer window. We bought 2 29-year-old. We sold Walcott, Giroud, reliable players.
So but that happened in January. You can't blame Emery for it.
I'm not blaming. I said Wenger.
Yeah.
So the squad is in a way imbalanced. But I suppose it's the style that matters. Like with Klopp, I don't think the quality of players necessarily matter with Emery. Rather the attitude and how disciplined they are. For example, Lacazette just a couple of days back said, we are learning like children under Emery. It's a totally new style. So I think, for example, with Wenger, who gives a lot of freedom to players, the quality of players matters. With Emery, I suppose he just wants hardworking, disciplined players.
That's just putting it like... He obviously needs flair players as well.
He needs. But for example, Ozil is a flair player.
Yeah, but probably Ozil does not give as much as Emery has. Indeed.
So Mkhitaryan could be the one who could, really thrive. Ramsey is another who really puts in a yard's work. That's why you see Xhaka as a flair player, but you can see that he really doesn't fit in. So I think our starting 11 would be the defense. Then you have Torreira and Guendouzi, who's been really good actually, quite impressive.
Yeah.
Then I am really not sure about Ozil. I think it will be Mkhitaryan, Ozil and Iwobi or Welbeck or Lacazette and Aubameyang up front.
And the game over the last weekend in which Arsenal somehow won 3-2 against Cardiff.
Right.
It wasn't really... It was nothing home to write about.
Indeed, yeah.
But the only thing you could talk about it is at least they showed some spirit and fight back too.
One of the most important thing about, very significant thing about the Cardiff game is we won our second away game.
Yeah.
We were so horrible. We won one away game entirety of last season in Premier League.
Yeah.
That was quite poor. I have never been so dull about the upcoming season. But let's see. it's a brave new world. It's not so brave anymore.
You talk to a lot of Arsenal fans, and I think Kanav and Baru as well.
Sure.
Before the season, they said finish in the top 4.
Yes.
And probably reach a final of some one of the cups. And if you can win the Europa League as well, that will be considered a great season. And I mean,
one of the two would be a great season, either in the top 4 or the Europa League.
As long as you get back to Champions League, that's sort of a thing.
Correct.
And let's talk about Ivan Gazidis.
Yes.
I read a few newspaper reports which basically say that Unai Emery is kind of like confused and let's say pissed off that Ivan Gazidis is not making his position clear on whether he's leaving or not leaving.
Yes.
How tough will that be for Unai Emery, who's just come into the new job, to if Ivan Gazidis leaves, how tough would that be on Unai Emery?
So there are 2 points here. The first is, this is very similar to how Manchester United were post Alex Ferguson's retirement. David Gill immediately retired with him.
Yeah.
So Wenger and Gazidis, who have navigated the ship for the last decade, are gone. But the thing, just like Wenger with Gazidis, his performance hasn't been really great. In a lot of recent searches, Arsenal, it seems quite a popular worldwide club, more than even we fans ourselves thought. Our commercial revenue is really, really poor. You just see the kind of brands who are Arsenal sponsors. They're nothing home to write about, and the performance under Gazidis has not been good at all. Whatever he has brought in, for example, the new kit deal or the new sponsorship renewal with Emirates, have all been, the contract was just renewed. It was not anything really great.
Yeah, but so having said all that, Gazidis...
I'll come to the second point. So... my view is I don't think it will impact that much, given there is a system in place, and with this year with Kroenke has also bought the club from Usmana, so that is also there. So I think there will be more hands-on management by Josh Kroenke, his son, and I suppose we can find a good CEO in the market. I don't think Gazidis has been exceptional in any way.
Yeah. So now that we are in this,
maybe we should poach Woodward or something. He's been great.
Ed Woodward is an amazing personality.
Indeed.
Now that the international break is going on,
yes,
and
we have the Nations Cup.
Oh God, let's not get into that. That will be a whole episode altogether.
Yes.
But now that international break is going on and you've seen the 4 games and some of the pre-season you followed.
Yes.
The expectations, let's say the fans haven't changed, right? You still think that you can still do a top 4?
It's definitely possible. It's just 4 games over. It's definitely possible. The thing is, the other teams are really strong. Tottenham, without buying a player, without having a home ready yet, are a better side. Liverpool have been very good. City are already up there. United, despite all their problems, it's quite a stable team.
Yeah.
Chelsea have been superb in some of the games under Sarri. So we have to be at our absolute best to even crack the 4th position. Apparently, which was Arsenal's.
Alright, Vijay, thanks again for joining us on today's episode, and hope to have you soon again on Football Twaddle.
Thank you, Saru, for having me.
Yeah, alright. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Kind of 2 teams which, along with Watford, are just going great guns. One is Chelsea and other is Liverpool.
Yeah, with Liverpool.
Which one do you want to talk about first?
I think Liverpool we've been talking about, and again, Salah sort of underperformed in the match.
Yeah.
But when you have a backup in the form of Mane and Firmino, that is a very potent strike force.
I didn't watch the game. Was Leicester any good in that game?
No. No, I think Liverpool more or less had it under control. Apart from that one moment of
madness.
That was bound to happen. We spoke about it last week also, right?
Yes, we spoke about it last week.
The exact same thing that it is going to be.
And you made a great point that Chesney was doing this 5 years ago.
Yeah, just the fact that he made mistakes and now Alisson has made a mistake. So I want to see whether he takes it forward.
Takes the mistake forward.
No, the same behavior forward. Does he still, I
don't know. Klopp in the post-match press conference pretty much said that he's not going to do that again.
Yeah, so, no, but when you see in the last week's highlights, there was a skill when he just lifted the ball over the striker, which came in all the highlight reels. So does Klopp encourage Alisson to play the way he plays?
I think he would have encouraged him till he makes a mistake. Now that the mistake is made, he'll say.
I differ in that. I think that Klopp
wants him to do that.
No, the sort of manager who will back his players, still allow him to play the way he wants to play. One mistake is fine in a season. I think Cech makes one every game. So,
dude, don't speak about your captain like this. What is this? And okay, let's talk about the Surrey ball, Chelsea. They are now just
I think they sort of slipped under the radar. They've not made a lot of big signings during the summer.
Like Jorginho came as a dowry with
Sari. Yeah. Football Twaddle does not support such practices.
Everyone knows it. We don't support all this. Yeah, but Chelsea now 4 wins on 4. They're playing quite well.
Hazard is back on form. Hazard has come out and said that he likes playing under Sari. There's a lot of possession.
Yeah, but Hazard says that every alternate season. So let's not get carried away on that. Yeah, but one thing to talk about Chelsea is Marcos Alonso. Is Marcos Alonso the best? As Sari himself put it, is he the best left back in the world now?
I think the Spanish Federation does not believe so.
But why is he never playing for Spain? He should be a regular starter for Spain. The way he plays,
he needs to move back to Spain for that.
For what? David De Gea is their number 1 goalkeeper. David Silva played for so long. Come on, Kanav, give better points than this.
No, that is Nacho Monreal was selected in the World Cup squad over Marcos Alonso.
Yeah, and that's why Spain crashed out of the World Cup because Nacho Monreal was selected over that.
Yeah, we hate Monreal because he didn't give us his shirt. No.
Yeah, but do you think Chelsea are genuine title contenders now, given after the 4 games, or they still have to prove quite a lot before to be considered title contenders?
I think they had sort of an easy start. They've done well, not title contenders, but I think they've certainly put in a bid for the top 4 spot as such.
Yeah. Along with Liverpool,
yeah.
So the City are still the main.
I think City and then Liverpool probably are the closest to them in terms of challenging.
Yeah, and then let's talk about a player whom you like quite a lot, Danny Ings.
Danny Ings is, I think, this is becoming a trend. People moving to Liverpool from Southampton,
and then moving back to Southampton,
sort of wasting a year or two.
Making some money.
But yeah, Ings is a great player. He was wonderful for Southampton before, and now he's gone back. It started off very, left. I think this is a move Adam Lallana would have probably considered.
Probably, given that Lallana is not getting much of a game time.
A lot of injury trouble also. Yeah. But Southampton would love a player like Lallana. Also.
Yeah, they're playing all right. They beat Crystal Palace, who somehow seem to be playing well every game and losing. So it is so weird. It is that they play every game quite well, even against, and then they'll somehow lose the game. And let's talk about the teams you support. Fulham, Brighton, 2-2.
Yeah, so Glenn Murray came in, scored 2 goals, got Brighton a point. Brighton have put in a really good run of form when you consider the fixtures.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at the table as of now, which is after 4 games and before the first international break. The teams which have no points, West Ham. We really have to talk about West Ham, but probably we'll talk about them
after spending so much money.
Yeah, we'll probably talk much more about them on the Monday when we record next Monday, because the questions are is Pellegrini even the right guy? Who have they spent money on? It's just so weird. They're the only team with no points. Burnley are on 1. So Newcastle, Burnley and West Ham are in the bottom 3, and Burnley after the Europa League, now they're out of it. Probably they will kick on. And top of the table, as of now, looks Liverpool, Chelsea, Watford and Manchester City. You think Watford wants to end the league right now?
I think, definitely. Because they are going to slide. So probably a top 10 finish, but nobody is, banking on, Watford finishing in the top 4.
Yeah. And the teams who are on 9th and 10th, Arsenal and Manchester United?
Yeah.
You think they will move up?
Definitely. I think Arsenal is starting to slowly, build up a run of games.
Yeah.
They're not doing it comfortably enough or, with enough of a margin.
But a
win is
eventually.
a win. Yeah, a victory is a
that's
victory.
important.
You get the team playing together under a new manager, they build up some confidence, it improves.
Alright, so on that note, we end this week's edition of Football Twaddle. What we will do, because there's no league matches this week, we will talk about, as we discussed here, West Ham and a few other things which we learnt in the first 4 games in the next week's edition, and we'll preview the games there. Kanav, as always, thank you very much.
Have a good week, guys.
And we would also like to thank Vijay for being on the show. And all the listeners, please follow us on Instagram, Football Twaddle, Facebook, Football Twaddle, and follow us on Twitter @FootyTwaddle, and make sure you rate us on iTunes. On that note, this is Saru signing off from Football Twaddle.
Hi, I'm Vishal Gondal, an entrepreneur. I've had the chance to meet and understand how some of the super achievers have hacked their way to success, and they have done spectacular innovations. Now I take a closer look at these people's lives to find out what lies beneath the force, only on the Vishal Gondal Show. Episodes out fortnightly on Wednesdays on the IVM website, app, or your favorite podcasting platform.
Did you know that Parsis in Mumbai, instead of being left at the Tower of Silence after they die, are now cremated? And why? Because a cow fell sick in the early 1990s. Did you know that the smog in Delhi is caused by something that farmers in Punjab do, and that there's no way to stop them? Did you know that there wasn't one gas tragedy in Bhopal, but 3? One of them was seen, but 2 were unseen. Did you know that many well-intentioned government policies hurt the people they're supposed to help? Why was demonetization a bad idea? How should GST have been implemented? Why are all our politicians so corrupt when not all of them are bad people? I'm Amit Verma, and in my weekly podcast, The Seen and the Unseen, I take a shot at answering all these questions and many more. I aim to go beyond the seen and show you the unseen effects of public policy and private action. I speak to experts on economics, political philosophy, cognitive neuroscience, and constitutional law so that the insights can blow not only my mind, but also yours. The Seen and the Unseen releases every Monday. So do check out the archives and follow the show at seenunseen.in. You can also subscribe to The Seen and the Unseen on whatever podcast app you happen to prefer.